I refer parents often to CPN. I think it's an incredible resource for parents on their terms. I love that I can tell them about a website, and I give it with 2 disclaimers. So I give them the little handout piece, and I tell them it's for them when they're ready to look at and to dig through and see what may apply to them. And that everything on there might not apply to them, but that it has a lot of content about questions that they may not want to ask or think to ask. And that there's so much on it for different times. The second disclaimer I give is to warn parents that there is end-of-life content on there. And if I feel that while we may be providing some palliative support or perspective for a family, that we're far from that point or the family's not ready to even consider that, I always give a disclaimer that I'm recommending this site, but for them to be aware that there is information on there about end of life, but that I'm not recommending it because I think that they need to read that then. I think is really important because they may get to the website and see that, and it's like if you say the word hospice to a family, the tone changes, everything changes, their listening changes, the way you talk changes. So I really like to discuss that in advance of them ever clicking onto the website, that it's there. And that maybe, for some families, maybe it's a resource that they may need down the road, especially if it's a family that has accepted the shortened lifespan of their child. Or for some families, I actually had a child recently who was getting a tracheostomy. He has Down syndrome and had quite a few complications and needed a tracheostomy. I don't know what the lifespan of this child is going to be. That end of life is something that we were not discussing at all. It was more about quality of life as this family started to come to grips with what things were going to be different for their child. And I was so thrilled to be able to offer CPN to this family to go through the tracheostomy content, provide them some support and perspective, and start to connect them with resources out there for not just the tracheostomy, but a feeding tube and developmental delays. And what does that mean for their family, for their other child, for the school experience? There's such a wealth of information. But right now, that moment, the mom could only handle about this much. So giving her the awareness of the site and the resources there, I think, was so crucial in these very early weeks of this child's life. And she was able to articulate, I'm not ready now, but I know I'm going to want more information. And so it was fantastic to say, okay, I want to tell you about this resource. And when the time is right, it's there for you.